Hello and welcome to this video. This is the first of several videos I am going to make on how to play and practice Franz Liszt's La Campanella. I bet a lot of you are very excited about this. I've actually received many requests over the last few years and recently on how to play this and how to practice it. And what really inspired me to make this video was that I recently started teaching a 15-year-old student above average abilities. He's not a prodigy, he's not a concert pianist. It's just sort of a normal 15-year-old student. I would say rate him at about, technically, probably a grade 4 or 5. A good grade 4 or 5, that is. He's not, when I first started teaching him, actually about a month ago, he was pretty rough around the edges, but he had fast fingers, or does have fast fingers, and he desired so much to learn La Campanella, and he was working on that and also another Liszt etude as well when I started teaching him via Skype. And so I thought, wow, you've probably heard my performance of this on YouTube that I did about 10 or 11 years ago. Back in the day, I think I first learned this about 20 years ago, even more than that, 25 years ago. I recorded it on YouTube like 10 or 11 years ago. It's one of my early videos. Didn't really touch it very much in about 10 years. And I've taught it a little bit, bits and pieces of it to students over that 10-year period, but teaching this 15-year-old student of mine recently really gave me the inspiration to create a tutorial series on how to learn La Campanella. It is perhaps the most popular piece in the world on YouTube right now. Everyone wants to learn it. Everyone wants to play it. But not everyone can do it. And not all teachers can teach it either. I think I have the solution for you in this ongoing tutorial series. I'm not sure how many videos will be in it, but it will be quite extensive. This is just an introductory video here. So in this video, I'm not actually going to talk much about the music. But in this video, what I'd like you to do is first print out the PDF that I have accompanying this. It's a free PDF download on the Bach Scholars site, and it comes from this particular edition here, Liszt's Piano Works Volume 4 Etudes, edited by Emil von Sauer. Emil von Sauer, S-A-U-E-R. This is the Peters edition. In my opinion, I think this is the definitive edition of it. Emil von Sauer studied with Franz Liszt. He was an excellent pianist and an excellent editor, and Peters, in my opinion, has just absolutely flawless engraving. Their manuscripts are so beautiful. Really it rivals Henley edition in my opinion. I play from this book, but the PDF I'm giving you is this exact score from this book, from Emil von Sauer's edition here, the Peters edition. If you want the book, if you don't want the PDF, if you want this book, then I also have a link, an Amazon link for you where you can get this book. So either the PDF or the book will do fine for our purposes for learning La Campanella. It consists of, let me see, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, actually 12 pages, 12 sides it consists of. And actually, I don't have measure numbers in here, or bar numbers. So what I'm going to do in this tutorial series, instead of referring to bar numbers, I'm actually just going to refer to the page number. Like, let's say if I refer to something on page 131, I'll just say page 131, third line, second measure, whatever. Like, I think that's easier for this particular piece instead of referring to bar numbers, because then we have to number every bar and it's kind of cumbersome to do that. So print out your score, familiarize yourself with the work, just look at it a little bit, and it might scare you a little bit, but my goal is to make this piece accessible and approachable to the average pianist. The average pianist. You don't have to be a prodigy, and we're not going to try to play it as fast as we possibly can, but we're going to start slow and work it up. Of course, all my videos will be slow. I'll be explaining how to practice it and so on. One just very important tidbit on La Campanella. By the way, La Campanella, the little bell in Italian, allegretto. I bet very few of you ever noticed that Franz Liszt marked La Campanella, the speed, he gave it the speed, the tempo, allegretto. Okay, allegretto. If you know anything about your speeds, that's not that fast. Which, leads me to believe it's one of the most misinterpreted pieces in the piano literature. I say that because pretty much virtually every recording of this, or everybody you hear play this, plays it as fast as they possibly can, as fast as humanly possible. Allegretto does not mean as fast as humanly possible. Allegretto means it's even slower than allegro. It's just a playful kind of tempo. Think playful, not necessarily really fast. So if you have the tempo hierarchy, prestissimo is as fast as humanly possible. Presto, pretty fast, pretty up there, just a little slower than prestissimo. Vivace or allegro molto is down from that. Allegro is down from that. And allegretto is under that. So if you have a hierarchy of tempi from prestissimo to allegretto, it's about 4 or 5 tempi removed, or 4 or 5 levels slower than prestissimo. In other words, all of those pianists who hear playing La Campanella as fast as they possibly can are perhaps not doing what Liszt intended. It's only allegretto. So if you listen to my recording on YouTube from, I think it was around 2008 or 2009, I forget honestly what year it was, but around there. If you listen to my recording, I do it nice and fast, but it's definitely slower than almost everybody else does it. If I were to record it again today, I'd probably do it even a little bit slower than that. So, my opinion has even changed a little bit over the years regarding tempo of La Campanella. But the first and foremost, we can argue and quibble over, what number it is on the metronome, what speed it is, but we can't quibble or argue over the fact that Liszt marked it allegretto. Allegretto. It's not presto. And so when you hear all of those virtuosi playing it as fast as they possibly can, it's very impressive. It is very impressive. Yes, okay, they can play really fast. But is that what Liszt really wanted? No, I don't think so. He wouldn't have written allegretto if he wanted something as fast as humanly possible. So before we start tackling this work, or before you start working on this, you need to toss out everything you've ever known about this piece. Toss out all the biases. Toss out everything, all the biases you've learned from all of the performances you've heard on YouTube of this by, all the virtuosi who are trying to outdo everybody by their speed. And focus on what Liszt wrote. if you just play this exactly the way Liszt wrote it, and the way that Emil von Sauer edits it, with his excellent pedaling, by the way, which I'll explain later in later videos. Pedaling is a very important aspect of La Campanella, and too few pianists ever think about pedaling. The pedal adds so much color and depth that I really look forward to discussing that more in future videos on La Campanella. Now, what I suggest you do first, before getting into the music, is I have a list here of some things to do. First and foremost, the most important technique for you to learn are to play octaves. Now, if you have never played very many octaves before, I highly suggest you can go right on the Well-Rounded Pianist to daily exercises, octaves. I have several graded exercises in octaves from beginning to advanced. I would go over those. I would practice those diligently so you can play octaves. So you need to learn your octaves. Second, you need to learn the proper way to play staccato. Okay, and I'll show you these things in a minute. The third thing is you need to know how to read your sharps. La Campanella has 5 sharps. It's in the key of G sharp minor. It's not an easy key to read. So I suggest that as you learn it, you start to eventually memorize it. I know that I'm big on not memorizing, so you'll become better at your reading abilities and sight reading. But this is actually a special case. I would suggest trying to memorize this, but you first want to do it with the music. You can do it with the music well at a slow speed. Try to memorize. So you need to learn to read your sharps. Not an easy piece to read. And fourth and finally, you need to learn how to play and practice with a metronome, which I'll show you in these coming videos in this series. Now let's get to octaves. I want you to play a C octave, C to C, with 1 and 5. And I want you to pretend like the key is burning hot. You have to get your finger off the burning hot key. So you're not like that, but you're just tapping it and getting off as quickly as possible. But you're not tightening your wrist. You're not tensing up. So don't tense up, but you want to be pretty firm here, but loose in your wrist area. Now, let's go up to C sharp. You want to get a very crisp sound. I would suggest practicing that. I don't know if I do that in my daily exercises, but you can add that to your exercises. Now, practice the chromatic scale. I think that's included in the daily exercises, if I remember correctly. So, nice, crisp, clean staccato sound. And keep your thumb here. Don't play here. I've pointed that out many times in previous videos. Okay, you want to keep the white keys pretty close to the black keys so you can have efficiency or economy of motion like that. Same thing with your left hand. Also do little exercises like you can break them bounce. It's like dribbling a basketball. You're bouncing. You need to work on your staccatos. From my experience teaching piano, I have discovered that piano students almost never play short enough. They almost always want to play too long on the keys. So you have to lighten up your touch, learn to play octaves, learn to play staccatos. This piece, a lot of it is staccato. I mean, there are some legato places in it, but by and large, 90% of this piece is staccato. So you're constantly bouncing on the keys. You're constantly bouncing up and down like this. So you want to learn to do octaves, learn your staccatos, read sharps, and I'm going to put the metronome on 72. Now I'm going to put it a little faster. I'm going to put it on 108. 108. Now let's really challenge ourselves. I think I have this on the daily exercises. We're going to start from middle C. And we're going to go outwards in contrary motion. Really fun. If that's easy, close your eyes. Eyes closed. So there's a lot of different ways, if you use your imagination, that way you can practice with octaves. And there's many possibilities. I won't go over those now in this video, but I just wanted to give you a little taste of what's to come. So print out your PDF or get your hard copy book. Both are the same. Start working on your octaves. Start working on broken octaves also. Start working on your staccatos so you can bounce with your staccatos. Work on your reading sharps. This is in G sharp minor. And start working on your metronome. Stay tuned for the first video in which we will actually get into the music of Franz Liszt's La Campanella.